Hello and welcome to one more episode with me, Samer. So today I'm going to try something new, a new type of content where I bring you the latest and the greatest in the world of AI. And with this, let's get started.
Subscribe to Daddy's channel. The mic.
Okay, we'll start off with Notion, and there are two reasons for that. Number one is this little guy over here. So if you're a user of Notion, now you have an AI agent, sort of, within Notion that can help you look for things, edit things, create things just by prompting it, which is great. Notion, for the most part, it's easy to learn. But there are aspects of Notion and the features in it that can get complex a little bit or confusing. So this definitely makes it a lot easier. Now, the other reason I started with Notion is to show you how I collect my information. And it's basically an AI automation that does that for me beyond what I do myself going over X, YouTube, and doing my own research. This just makes it 10 times easier and I get a gist of everything in one place. So I'm going to show it to you. If you're interested, if you think the outcome is good and this is something you want to have access to, write me a comment in the comment section and I'll create a video for you how to create such an automation. So let's close this guy and let's go to Zapier triggers and then we'll go to YouTube social media. And this is the AI news script generator and I'll hit send and that's it. Now my bot or my automation will go and do all the research for me and get me everything here in one place on this table, and it will simply collect for me the date this research happened, the links that it accessed to get me all the news, and then some kind of high-level script of all the AI news that is out there in the recent week. So I have some news planned for you. On top of that, I'll cover everything interesting that my AI automation / bot researches for me and gets me as something worthwhile to share with you. First off, we have a new model from Nvidia. So I saw this on Hugging Face. If you go to models, you're going to see it probably till now the number one result. So it's called the Llama 3.1 Nemotron 70B, which is 70 billion parameters. Instruct, and on Hugging Face, I assume this is why the HF is here. So they claim, and I saw some people with conflicting opinions about it on Twitter or X. Some people are saying it's amazing, it's better than some of the models, recent models out there. Some of them are saying it needs more improvement. It's not that yet. There's some hype around it. But let me give you some information and you can check that on Hugging Face and you can actually test it for free on Nvidia, which I'll show you in a second now. So here they're saying this large language model customized by Nvidia to improve the helpfulness of large language models generated responses by user queries. This model reaches Arena hard, so it's some benchmark to other models, okay? As of the 1st of October 2024, this model is number one on all three automatic alignment benchmarks, verified tab of AlphaPack Eval 2LC, edging out strong frontier models such as GPT-4 and Claude 3.5 Sonnet. So that's a really big claim made right there. This model was trained using RLHF, which is reinforced learning human feedback, the same training they did for the O1 preview, with the chain of thought, obviously, specifically Reinforce, Llama 3.1, Nemotron, and Helps Tier 2 preference prompts on a Llama 3.1 70B instruct model as the initial policy. Okay, so this is like the foundational model. They trained it using a different method, and this is what they got. Obviously, there's data behind it as well, I assume. So you can go to Hugging Face and see some of the stuff about it here. Even some of the benchmarks they are putting here, some of the usage. And if you're scrolling on Hugging Face, if you look at this model there, you can find they have a link which is takes you basically to the page where it's hosted on Nvidia, build.nvidia.com. If you click on it, it will take you to this page where you can actually have a conversation with the model here for free, test it for yourself. Obviously, if you're a coder, you can do more through the actual deployment of a small application where you can interact with the model as well. And the reason this is getting lots of hype, because at the end of the day, it's a 70 billion parameter model. So just to show you how it works, I gave it a very simple prompt just to see, and it compares apparently based on feedback to much bigger models. Now, again, if you go on X, you'll find conflicting opinions. Some people will say, yes, it is better than those models. Some people will say, well, not so much. So just to have a hint of how it works, I just gave it a simple prompt to give me an application. Obviously, give me code for an app I can run on Replit that serves as an online notepad for my projects with all features expected in such applications like sign up and login, notebooks, notes within notebooks, add, delete pages, etc. So it's not a really detailed prompt, but let's see what it does with it. So it gave me the answer. It gave me like a small intro, and then it told me this is an example of the code. Going for an actual application of like this is complex, and this is just an example. So I don't know. Usually if you go to something like today, O1 Preview, or even 4.0, Claude 3.5 Sonnet, it will give you the code, even for a simple application that will do most of the features you put in. Anyways, so I'm not judging it here. So creating a full-fledged online notepad application with features like sign up, login, notebooks, notes, and CRUD, create, read, update, delete operation for both notebooks and notes is a substantial undertaking. However, I'll provide you with a simplified example. Okay, and it gave me the breakdown of the files, which is helpful always, and then the code for the Python for the app file. So you have the code here, and that's it. It didn't give me any code for the other main files like configuration and other things. So it's interesting. It's the new model on the block, sort of getting some hype. Go check it out and play it with. And by the way, all the links for everything I'm showing you, it will be in the description section. This is less than a piece of news, just something I thought everyone would be interested to see. So this is one of the accounts I follow on X, and it put out an estimate for training models and an actual of some of the models that were already introduced and trained. So I thought it's something very interesting to look at. The person who did this estimate or this work here is someone called Alan D. Thompson. And apparently, Chubby here thinks that Alan, who clearly is not doing this for the first time, estimating the cost of training certain models, is comparatively correct for the most part historically. And the most interesting one is Grok 3 is estimated to be trained at $1.2 billion cost. So that's a whooping number. And if someone asks you how come AI companies don't make money yet, I think this kind of estimate, this kind of historic data sheet can explain that clearly. This is a small news piece that is interesting, well known I think, but it will be explained by some of the other news I'm going to show in a second. But basically it says tech giants go nuclear in AI arms race. And I think this is very clear to anyone who's following the news. And what it says is that artificial intelligence arms race has gone nuclear. Amazon, Microsoft, and Google are now looking to outgun each other with announcements on atomic energy, which they hope will power a technology that is consuming electricity at an alarming rate. So all of that AI we see, there's data centers behind it. You know, we are evolving in terms of technology when it comes to the hardware. Nvidia is doing lots of that work. Still, training those models, running them is hungry for energy. These things consume a lot of energy. This is a big part of the cost that we already covered with the estimated cost of training, for example, Grok 3, and costing $1.2 billion. Now, this is interesting for many reasons when we talk sustainability and when we talk actually energy availability and energy distribution priorities. So here it continues to say that the US tech juggernauts, convinced that AI is technology's next big chapter, are investing billions to expand data centers globally. Now, this is the really important part I wanted you to get out of this article. According to Goldman Sachs research, data centers will consume 8% of US power by 2030, up from 3% in 2022. That's 3 times more, nearly 3 times more. In Europe, their power needs by 2030 will match the current combined consumptions of Portugal, Greece, and the Netherlands. So by 2030, basically, all the data centers in Europe will take up what today is covering 3 major European countries. This is an older piece of news that probably you came across, but I think it's worthwhile to really share in this video, and it's that OpenAI and Anthropic will share their models with the US government. And I think this is their way of working with the government just to ensure that in the future, their operations don't get disrupted. So they make their models available to the government and other organizations linked to AI safety. And with this, basically, they show they have nothing to hide. And also they show that they are invested as corporations in the future of AI and AI safety in general. And this is not just talk. So if you scroll down, the company signed memorandums of understanding with the US AI Safety Institute to provide access to the models both before and after their public release, the agency announced on Thursday. The government says this step will help them work together to evaluate safety risks and mitigate potential issues. The US agency said it would provide feedback on safety improvements in collaboration with its counterpart agency in the UK. So this is basically not a US only thing. Apparently UK is also playing part. Sharing access to AI models is a significant step at a time when federal and state legislators are considering what kinds of guardrails to place on the technology without stifling innovation. On Wednesday, California lawmakers passed the Safe and Secure Innovation for Frontier Artificial Intelligence Models Act, requiring AI companies in California to take specific safety measures before training advanced foundation models. It's garnered pushback from AI companies, including OpenAI and Anthropic, that warned it could harm smaller open source developers, though it's since undergone some changes and is still awaiting a signature from Governor Gavin Newsom. Okay, so fundamentally, all of these AI big giants are working with the government now just to make sure they don't have any hiccups in the future. And they apparently care about smaller open source companies. I doubt that somehow. And I believe at some point, they're going to do things in a way that is linked to the competition happening with what China is doing when it comes to AI, which is somehow is a black box. We don't know as much of what China is driving, how far they are when it comes to AI. But at least today, they're trying to do it in the right way. They're trying to expose it to a government institute and the government itself. And OpenAI themselves have recently appointed someone who's ex-CIA onto their board. So also that tells you they're trying to get that kind of involvement and protect themselves from future issues and runoffs with the government. So that's a smart thing to do. Now, AI technology, it's not all models. So you have the models part, which we talked about. It's the arm race happening between the companies. We have the infrastructure part, which is the data centers. Also, we're covering that this is going crazy. It's consuming energy like hell. And now you have the data part. So apparently, OpenAI and Anthropic, they're going online, crawling and scraping data like crazy. And they're creating havoc by raising the computing bill, basically the hosting bill for so many websites online. And you can see this in the title. OpenAI and Anthropic AI bots cause havoc and raise costs for websites. So the main subtitles read, "Edcode's game user interface database was crippled by traffic from OpenAI IP addresses. AI companies are aggressively crawling the web, causing disruptions. Website owners see cloud bills spike because of AI botnet traffic." Now, the way people are describing these kind of events are really interesting. So Ed Coates, which I don't know who that person is, knew something was wrong. His online database was under attack. Coates is a game designer and the creator of the game UI database. It's a labor of love for which he spent 5 years cataloging more than 56,000 screenshots of video game user interfaces. If you want to know what the health bar looks like in Fallout 3 and compare that with the inventory screen in Breath of the Wild, Coates has you covered. Okay, so this is about his website and the service. A few weeks ago, he said the website slowed to a crawl. It was taking 3 times as long to load pages. Users were getting 502 bad gateway errors, and the homepage was being reloaded 200 times a second. I assumed it was some sort of petty DOS attack, Coates told Business Insider. So it seems like an attack when this happens, and I don't think these bots, I think they're advanced. Like if you try to do crawling or scraping yourself, it's not that easy of a job. Usually websites will have a small file called robots.txt, which tell these bots, this is what you can crawl, this is what you shouldn't be crawling. If you use any type of crawler, standard one that individuals use, it will somehow listen to that. These bots that these AI companies, because they're so hungry for data, I think it just ignores all of that and goes after the whole thing, which is bringing such news to the surface. So it continues, but when he checked the system logs, he realized the flood of traffic was coming from a single IP address owned by OpenAI. In the race to build the world's most advanced artificial intelligence, again, this is the arms race, tech companies have fanned out across the web, releasing botnets like a plague of digital locusts. I don't know the word, so I apologize if I mispronounce it, to scour sites for anything they can use to fuel their voracious models. So that's something to look out for. So Adobe just had their Max conference in 2024, and this is a piece on Adobe website with lots of news and lots of updates for the market. So let's go over the highlights quickly, and then I'll go to the main points that I think you should be updated on. Over 100 new Creative Cloud features empower creative professionals with more speed, precision, and control, and power even more of the creative process. With powerful new innovations across Photoshop, Illustrator, Premiere Pro, InDesign, Lightroom, Adobe Express, and an all-new Frame.io. So I didn't use Frame.io, but apparently they revamped the whole thing. Adobe's Firefly family of creative generative AI models designed to be commercially safe expands to video and delivers breakthroughs in imaging, vectors, and design. Gen Studio for performance marketing, now generally available, is the latest enterprise application with Adobe Gen Studio, Adobe's end-to-end content supply chain solution. Okay, so let's go to the important parts. So Adobe Firefly. Adobe extends its family of generative AI models with the introduction of Firefly Video Model Beta, which enables creators to generate video from text and image prompts, extend video clips, and smooth out transitions, including deep integration into Premiere Pro. Adobe also announced the latest evolution of Firefly Image 3 model, which generates images 4 times faster. So you can read on if you want to do that, and remember, we're going to leave all the links in the description. Adobe announced several new capabilities to empower the creative community to bring their visions to life with more power, speed, and control, including new distraction removal smart technology to help remove people, wires, poles, and other distractions from images. Generative workspace beta that helps designers ideate, brainstorm, and iterate concepts simultaneously. A new Substance 3D Viewer beta that offer new ways for graphic designers to view and edit 3D objects while working with 2D designs in Photoshop. And the general availability of features like Generative Fill, Generative Expand, Generate Similar, and Generate Background, powered by Firefly's Image 3 model. I mean, this is crazy. I was doing some photography in the past, and I was editing things on Photoshop and removing wires. So if you know anyone who used to do that in Photoshop, just ask them about the workflow to remove wires from an image. That was crazy. That took hours. And now basically you can prompt the wires out of your image. That's interesting. Illustrator. Adobe's new capabilities for designers include Objects on Path to empower users to quickly attach, arrange, and move an object along any path of their artboard. Enhance image trace to make it easier and faster to convert images to vectors, and Generative Shapefill Beta, powered by the Firefly Vector model, which empowers designers to save time while quickly adding detailed vectors to shapes to create unique designs. Okay, interesting. So this is content creation at scale. So this is the new things they're dropping when it comes to content creation. Frame.io, Adobe announced the general availability of an all-new version of Frame.io, which builds on its industry-leading video post-production capabilities and expands to support collaboration in audio, photo design, and other creative workflows. The new version adds Canon, Nikon, and Leica to Frame.io's camera to cloud ecosystem, the fastest, easiest, and most secure way to get media from the set to the people who need to work with it. Express, and if you don't know Express, it's basically Canva's competitor. Adobe also announced new enterprise capability to supercharge employees with AI, enable every team with access to approved assets, and enable businesses to protect their brand. At Max, Adobe showcased their features and demonstrated how Express helps creative professionals extend the power of apps like Photoshop and Illustrator. Okay. Gen Studio, Adobe announced the general availability of Adobe Gen Studio for performance marketing, the latest enterprise application with Adobe Gen Studio. Gen Studio is Adobe's end-to-end content supply chain solution that brings together an integrated set of Creative Cloud and Experience Cloud applications, empowering brands to optimize their content supply chain and meet the rising consumer demand for personalized content. Now we have one more new model on the block, and that's a Japanese apparently model by a company called Rhymes AI, which launched their first open source multimodal AI model, Aria, which they claim is outperforming GPT-4 mini and other leading AI models. So that's interesting for their first punch at an AI model. And this is an open source, so many people will actually prefer it over 4.0 mini. So recently, the Tokyo-based startup Primes AI has launched their first artificial intelligence model, Aria. The company claims that Aria is the world's first open source multimodal mixture of experts MOE model. This model not only has the capability to handle multiple input modalities, but also boasts performance on par with, if not superior to, some well-known commercial models. And here they speak a little bit about the architecture of the model. The design philosophy behind Aria is to provide exceptional understanding and processing capabilities across various input forms such as text, code, images, and video. Unlike traditional transformer models, the MOE model replaces its feed-forward layers with multiple specialized experts. So what I understand is when it comes to transformer models, it somehow learns and gets to know where to focus on and does more with the parts within that request that the model gets that require more attention. So it just redistributes the attention to different parts based on the probability, what's important, what's not. And that, with other concepts, generates usually a higher quality outcome. And if you think I got that wrong, just write me a comment and tell me I'm wrong. But this company is coming with a concept called the mixture of experts. So let's just read along, maybe you'll understand what it is. So unlike traditional transformer models, again, the MOE model replaces its feed-forward layers with multiple specialized experts. Okay, what does that mean? When processing each input token, a routing model selects a subset of experts to activate, thereby enhancing computational efficiency and reducing the number of activated parameters per token. So this went over me. Honestly, I didn't understand what they mean by that. Maybe it's something that more experts within the actual architecture and how AI models work can basically tell me in the comment section, or I'm gonna just have to research it more to understand what they're talking about. But basically, this is high-level architecture. So basically, you get code, you get video, images, charts, diagrams, and text. Obviously, when you go with videos and images, this goes to a vision encoder, a projection model, and then it goes to the actual model, which is multimodal native mixture of experts decoder. And then you get a text output. So definitely read through this. This is really interesting if you go through it to learn more about Aria and the company behind it and the new architecture they're claiming is getting their model to be better than 4.0 mini. You know, these kind of models are now coming from all corners of the world. One of them is, for example, UAE has already the Falcon. I think they have it in 7 billion parameters and a 70 billion parameter. And it's, I think, still one of the top 15, top 10 models out there. And now we have Japan. We know China is there, not exposing what they have, at least on the mainstream. So these models are popping everywhere. It's good. It's for some people, it will get people to worry a little bit. What's going on there? It's clearly an arms race. The thing is about these models. So when 4.0 goes out, it's the hype. People will use it. People will go and subscribe to OpenAI until the next big thing comes out. So tomorrow Anthropic brings something better than, let's say, the 0.1 preview. People will switch and go and use more the Anthropic. That hype will move there. And that older model by OpenAI will lose value, like no one will use it. Or at least the usage will be negligible. So the nature of how we interact with these models and how we react to them and our consumer behavior is also affecting this a lot. Last but not least, this is about NotebookLM by Google. If you go on YouTube, you're going to find tens of videos digging deep into this tool and how it works and what it does. And basically, it's a retrieval, it's a RAG type of interface, but it does really interesting things. Like if you provide it with documentation about whatever topic you have, number one, which is normal, which is available, you can have conversations with it. The one interesting feature that everyone's talking about, it has a feature where it can create a podcast type of conversation around the content that you provide the model or the notebook application with. And that's definitely an amazing, little scary feature. And I've seen some demos of people showing how it works. You cannot distinguish it from real humans actually having a conversation. It is that good. You have to check it out. So Google just added a new customization tool for the viral AI podcasts in its NotebookLM software. I got early access and tested it out. Okay, so this person basically got some documents, threw it in, and created multiple podcasts using the tool. Released by Google Labs in 2023 as an experimental AI-focused writing tool, NotebookLM has been enjoying a resurgence in user interest since early September, when the developers added an option to generate podcast-like conversations between two AI voices, one male sounding and one female sounding, from uploaded documents. While these audio deep dives can be used for studying and productivity, many of the viral clips online focused on the entertainment factor of asking robot hosts to discuss bizarre or highly personal source documents like LinkedIn profile. That's really interesting. I probably am going to do a video where I put my profile and see what kind of conversation NotebookLM will have. But you can see some people are using it actually to learn. So you have a huge document, you don't want to study. Basically, the podcast thing, I think, is familiar to many people. You just put it there, throw it to NotebookLM, and have a guy and a lady discuss the topic. Maybe it will catch up in your brain and you will remember it. It is good, but also it is interesting and scary, because if you think of it, and if this gets really good, I think it's already good to the level where you can't tell if these two people are not humans. I think their voices might be picked up by people, but with time, probably you can apply your own voice or your guest voice, and honestly, you don't need to talk to them. You just have a script and throw it in for such a tool, and it has a conversation. This will increase a lot of that non-human content online. YouTube already, when you upload a video, will ask you if this is depicting a human and it's not human. So also these type of platforms must start building these guardrails, because at the end of the day, honestly, I wouldn't be interested to listen to a podcast not by humans. I know it's interesting. I talk about AI every day. If I'm going to give 1 hour time, I like to listen to humans with all their faults, issues, and while we humans are not perfect, well, that being an imperfect human is what I like to listen to and watch and consume. So I definitely do not want to consume AI content. If you think about it, the best content, once you know it's AI, is going to drop off and you're not going to be interested. Humans are interested in other humans. Okay, and that brings us to the end of the episode. So this is a new format of my channel. Would you like to get more AI news in this format? Can I improve it? Do things differently? Write me a comment in the comment section. And with this, thank you for your time. Thank you for watching. Do not forget to subscribe and have a great day.
Subscribe to Daddy's channel. Give me the mic.